Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills for you to level up your way with words and become much more articulate. In today's episode, we're entering the world of creativity, and we're going to be discussing the law of plentitude. I don't think taking advice from everyone is a good idea because you never understand what type of mindset that they are operating with. Very few people are actually giving you advice. Most people, what they're doing is they're like, well, this worked for me and I want you to do the same exact thing. If they did not ask you where you currently are and where you're trying to go, then most of their advice is going to fall flat. They're throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall, hoping that it sticks. So I believe with the internet and with so much information being out there for free, rather than being in a rush to get advice, do some self-education at first. Do some experimenting, and of course, take some advice from others, but know when to spot BS from the good stuff. The reason that I bring this up is because a lot of individuals, their minds are not meant to think in complex systems. Complex systems are when simplicity turns into something gargantuan. You have simple rules, and you keep repeating these rules in iteration. The output is being fed back into the input, and after some time, you get something that you can't even recognize. Human minds are not comfortable with this line of thinking. So what happens is that a lot of individuals, when they're giving you advice, they're operating with the industrial-based mindset. While with network-based mindset, you need a completely different line of thinking. And this is where the law of plentitude is going to come in. With industrial-based thinking, scarcity equals value. With network thinking, abundance equals value. Let me give you an example. In the first scenario, imagine that you're going to Costco's one day, and as soon as you walk into the doors, you see that the floor is made out of gold. Not the fake gold, real gold. You get the shopping cart. It too is made out of real gold. You're going down different aisles, and to your left, you see gold. On your right, you see gold. Is gold in this scenario worth a lot? Not really. The reason why is because you're just seeing gold everywhere. And since you're seeing it everywhere, the value of it is plummeting before your very eyes. If you were to rarely see gold, in this situation, scarcity will increase its value. This is one scenario. Now let's imagine another scenario. Let's imagine a scenario where the first ever fax machine was made. How much do you think something like that cost? In terms of research and development, all the teams that are working on it, how much did the first ever fax machine cost in terms of money? A lot. But was it worth a lot? Like in terms of value? Not really. I mean, what can you really do with a fax machine if there's only one on the planet? So what happens is that these people that worked on the first one, they're like, let's create another one. And simply by creating one new fax machine and allowing these two to connect with one another, what happens is that this fax machine brand just increased in value. Let's imagine that you add another fax machine and another one and another one, and soon you're up to 50 different fax machines. In this scenario, the possibilities are endless. See, with network effects, one law that is very important is not only the law of plentitude, it's also Metcalfe's law, which states that every new part that is added into the network does not increase the value of the network geometrically or linearly. It increases the value of the network exponentially. So this is big. In this worldview, imagine if someone is taking the industrial age mindset and is like, hey, buddy, scarcity equals value. You shouldn't make more than a certain amount. Otherwise, the network is going to plummet in value, very similar to gold's effect in the Costco example. Is this the right strategy to think in? No. Whenever networks are involved, and a network is when you have parts that are capable of talking, and you keep scaling this process of parts talking, you lead to these webs, right? With webs, we don't want to be scarce. We want to be abundant, because the more abundant that you are, the more that you're engaging the law of plentitude, the more valuable that your network becomes. And this is the essence of creativity. With creativity, there's a lot of individuals that take the old school industrial age mindset and they're trying to apply it with the network of their mind. They're like, oh, well, I don't want to create too much, because if I create too much, then I'm going to lose in value. I'm going to run out of ideas. Not understanding that each idea that they create is like a fax machine that is being entered into this network. And each time you create a new idea, that idea is capable of connecting with another idea and another one and another one, and this is how you have creativity. Creativity is the engine of communication skills. Many people are trying to figure out, well, how do I make eye contact better? How do I make my voice deeper? How do I stand in a way that showcases good body language? But they don't often ask the question, what do I talk about? Because if you ask that question, then creativity becomes of the utmost importance in your communication skills journey. So one of the things that we want to wrap this video up with is that in certain occasions, industrial age thinking is needed. We don't want to vilify industrial age or network thinking because gold, if it is everywhere, then it does lose in value. We don't have to negate that just because we're creating a network ourselves. But in other situations, we have to realize that network thinking is much more appropriate. And network thinking is more appropriate whenever there's nodes, points of connections, being connected with one another. And there is no better example than this, besides fax machines, of course, with ideas. The more ideas that you create, the more ideas that you can connect, the more ideas that you can connect, the more ideas that you get. If you enjoyed today's talk, go on and drop that like for me right on below. And thank you very much for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel.